Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you may be. Hello to you. Thank you for joining us. As I'm sure by now you've realized, I am not Sophie Alcorn, nor is Nadia Sophie Alcorn. We are taking over for Sophie today. And we're stoked to be presenting about the Extraordinary Ability Bootcamp that our firm offers and that we're super proud about. So thank you for joining us. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that we can go ahead and all right. So again, welcome to Alcorn Immigration Law, where we overcome borders, expand opportunity, and connect the world by practicing compassionate, cutting-edge, rigorous immigration law in the betterment and the service of the betterment of humanity. We do this all by maintaining a really high, I think it's 98% success rate, despite the very challenging past, it's now 5 years with immigration under the Trump administration and then under COVID as well. So it's been a doozy. There's been never a single dull moment, but we're still super grateful to be here and in front of you today. Again, I am Anita Kamrikian. I am one of the partners at Alcorn Immigration Law. I am an alum of Santa Clara Law and UCLA. I have experience practicing family law as well as family-based immigration. But at the firm, what I do is I oversee all of legal production. So all of our cases that are coming in, I'm making sure that they successfully go out. And I'm an immigrant myself. I came to the US when I was 4 years old. I was a resident alien. I had a green card that was actually pink that I thought that they made specially for me because I'm a little girl. I usually have those in some webinars, but I'm sorry, you don't get to see it today, but come join us on one of our other webinars and you'll hopefully be able to see that. So I am a proud American. A lot of my older cousins make fun of me for being so whitewashed, but I am proud of that. I'm a proud American. I'm raised Armenian. I'm 100% ethnically Armenian, but I was born in Iraq, came to the US again when I was 4 under the F4 sibling category. So immigration has a very, very near and dear place in my heart. This is our awesome founding partner, our fearless leader, Sophie Alcorn. She's not here with us today, but I'm still going to boast and brag about her because without her, we wouldn't all be here today. Sophie is board certified in immigration, which means that she is cream of the crop in terms of immigration attorneys. And we're very fortunate to be kind of dragging onto her coattails and being on her side and on her team. She has helped thousands of startups and individuals with U.S. immigration inbound. She is an author of TechCrunch. So weekly she publishes new articles and newsletters with TechCrunch under the Dear Sophie column. It's super cute and super resourceful and has a lot of good information. So go ahead and check that out. So Sophie's awesome. Sorry that she's not here with you guys today, but I hope you guys enjoy the webinar with Nadia and I instead. This is our incredible business immigration associate attorney, Nadia. Nadia is the one that handles and leads all of our extraordinary ability cases. Without her, we would also be lost. So Nadia, why don't you give us an introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm based in New York City. I went to New York Law School. I ran my own immigration law firm for a few years before I joined Alcorn. I have worked with startups and creatives for a number of years, and I was featured in Forbes for my work with startups in the New York area. I grew up in the Middle East, and I am ethnically Pakistani, and I am also a first-generation American.
Awesome. Awesome to have you. Thanks for joining us today, Nadia. This is our incredible network. We have individuals who are supported, who work for these companies. We are supported by these companies, and we're just super proud of our network. If at any point in time you think to yourself, oh, I really wish that I knew a good business formation attorney, reach out to us and let us know who we can introduce you to from our network. We have a really big, vast network of trusted advisors that we know, we like, we trust. So let us know who we can support you in introducing. Who can Alcorn support? we pride ourselves on being a law firm that supports not only startup founders, but also companies, rapidly scaling tech companies, as well as family-based clients. So we have a lot of different departments, three main departments that our firm will support. We have a department that will support our startup companies, or even our larger companies. We have a team of attorneys and experts who handles extraordinary ability applications. And then we also have a team that handles family-based immigration, immigration based off of marriage, immigration based off of sibling relationship, parent relationship. So the fact that we do all three of those allows us to be more creative, to strategize the best possible immigration solution, the best possible journey, individualized to you. So we do almost all of it. These are some client reviews and just feedback that we've gotten from individuals. They're anonymous. These are not their pictures. I'm not gonna lie to you. So these are anonymous reviews, but people are raving that they have a good experience. They applied to get a national interest waiver through our company. So super, super kind words there. The visa type that I had to apply for has a complex set of criteria that need to be met and proven to ensure a successful application. I can't imagine the petition would have gone successful without the support and continued work of the Alcorn Immigration Law team. Again, super kind. I'm personally blushing right now. So we have incredible clients that we support. They are brilliant. And we love being able to boast about them, to brag about their accomplishments, about what they've done in the past and what makes them extraordinary. So grateful for all of that. So thinking about a little bit more, figuring out what options exist for you. What is the best strategy? What is the best way for you to be able to realize whatever your personal American dream is? So think about that. And when we work with our clients, we consider everything. We consider, do you have a company that maybe we can get you to, that you're forming a company? Maybe we can get your a pathway to status in the United States through that. We'll ask the cheeky question. Any chance you're in a relationship with a US citizen or maybe a green card holder? So we'll kind of push you maybe sometimes a little bit out of your comfort zone just to explore what your options are. We absolutely at no point in time will say you have to get your green card based off of marriage. No, we as an immigration advisor, we're going to tell you, hey, these are your three different options, for example. Which one do you want to take? Which is pretty cool. And then so we'll ask you, what are your primary goals? What do you want to do? Do you want to come into the United States super quick and kind of maybe just hang out there? Do you need a break for the company that you're working with? Do you want to start your own company? Do you want to work for that company that you have started? Do you need to get your green card faster than the pathway that you are currently on? So we'll ask you those questions to figure out what is the strategy that you do need to go down. We're solution oriented. So we want to kind of figure out what it is that your goals are, again, to help you realize those American dreams of yours. And one huge way that we help a lot of people is through the extraordinary ability pathways, and through which goes hand in hand, the national interest visa and then green cards as well. So Nadia, why don't you tell us a little bit about just what the various requirements are about the EA pathways, the extraordinary ability? We'll go through them slide by slide. Why don't you give an overall like 100,000 overview first, and then we'll go through each individual criteria.
Yes, that sounds great. So the criteria it comes from the law that is written into, which is part of US immigration law. So that's where this criteria comes from. And we have to sort of fit our clients and their accomplishments within these areas. So the first one is prizes and awards. So if you've won a national or international prize or award, that would be one of the criteria. And this, a lot of people think this is about the Nobel Peace Prize, an Oscar, or sometimes on the other end of it, could it be a prize I won in my university days? So it's somewhere in the middle, is what I'll say. Then there's memberships. So memberships is also professional level memberships in associations in your field, which demand an outstanding achievement of their members. So that means, is there a gatekeeper? Is it hard to get into these associations? If so, it could help. Moving on to publicity. So have you published anything in major media? Has anything been published about you? Have you been interviewed? Have you been featured on a television show? And it wasn't just you were featured for something completely unrelated to your professional field, but it should be something that is recognizing your standing within your field. So there's that. And again, this isn't just about Forbes or Entrepreneur Magazine. It could be something else, something in the middle of that, and some very unknown blog that you self-published. So we can talk a little bit more about that as well. Judging, it could mostly apply to individuals in scientific fields, but it could apply to entrepreneurs also, because what USCIS is looking for is people who have been asked to judge others within their field. So were you invited to a conference where there were other entrepreneurs presenting their pitches and you were being asked to choose the best one? And what was the criteria under which they selected you to do this? So that's what that category is about. The next one is the one I think is the most complex, because a lot of what we just talked about all fits into this, and it's called the original contributions to your field. So what is the evidence that you have made an impact on your field, that you have done something or created something that is original to your field, that other professionals in your field are using or being impacted by? And that evidence can be in many different formats and can also be a combination of the things I already talked about. But outside of that, it could be patents, it could be white papers, it could be a report you put out, it could be an invention that you put out, it could be a product that you designed, and so on and so forth. And we have to come up with the best way to prove that you actually did that and accomplish that. The one after this is sort of related to publications, but it's authorships. And that is more about whether or not you yourself have written any articles that were published. And many people also think this applies mainly to scientists. That's not always the case. Sophie's an attorney. She publishes widely in TechCrunch and other places. It can apply to many different fields. And where you publish, the major media can be field specific, as long as we can show that it's widely circulated within your field. And your field can be a very niche field. So again, there is some, gray area in terms of what qualifies and what would make your personal evidence strong. After this is the critical roles category. And this is also a little bit like original contributions in some ways, because what we're doing is that we're proving that you served in a critical capacity in your past profession. This can be challenging for people who have just come out of their master's or PhD degrees programs, and they have never worked in a professional position before. So if you've never worked in a professional position before, it could be difficult to prove that you were in a lead or critical role with a past distinguished organization. But that being said, many people in their PhD programs serve in critical capacities to research being put out by their PhD mentors or professors. So there is some space to evaluate your contributions to your field, even while you're in a PhD program. Now, anything below PhD, master's, or bachelor's, it would be really tough to prove that you were doing something very critical while you're at that level in your academic journey, which is all I'll say about that field for now. And then letters of recommendation. So these letters serve many different purposes for our applications. One of the main purpose is to validate your past critical roles, your original contributions to the field. It could be to validate your judging. It could be to validate a number of other evidentiary criteria. I like to view these letters as corroborating evidence. So if we're saying you did XYZ, these letters are from experts in your field who themselves have a certain reputation, and they're able to say, yes, indeed, this person did this outstanding thing. This is what makes this person extraordinary, and this is how and why I know this to be true. So that's what those letters, that's the purpose that they serve, and that's why they're a very important part of the application.
So let's talk,
Mhm.
before we move on to our next one, let's talk a little bit more about the letters. So
Mhm.
the letters, Nadia, can you confirm the letters are not a specific one of the criterias, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. So these letters are used across the board for every single one of our EA extraordinary ability applications, and they are what, again, helps corroborate, what really helps kind of show and prove who you are and why you're so incredible at what you do.
Right.
Tell us, Nadia, what types of, who do we want to ask to write these letters for us? Like if this is my first time that I'm ever considering an extraordinary ability application, where do I even begin? It's a little overwhelming. Like, do I
Yeah.
ask my mom?
No, unless your mom is a very, very well-known immigration lawyer. So that's a question that everybody asks. And this is how I like to explain it. Imagine you're a USCIS officer and you know nothing about this field, right? You're reviewing all of these applications day in and day out, and you may not know anything about this person's field. Those letters are helping the officer look to another expert or set of experts within the field who are explaining to the officer that these are the qualities that make this person extraordinary. These are the contributions this person has made in his or her field. And this is why I am well equipped to make a comment on this person. So the letters should come from people who know you or may not know you, but they, first of all, they themselves should be well known in the field. So they should have impressive CVs that we can submit alongside their letter. And they should be able to provide clear examples of why your work is extraordinary and what impact your work has had. And the reason I said they may know you or may not know you, we like to have a variety. In many cases, letters from someone that doesn't know you personally is even stronger than somebody who does know you personally. It could be somebody that heard you speaking about a product you invented at a conference, and that person then was somehow impacted by that product or your research, or in some other way was able to utilize what you are doing to further their own work, if that makes sense.
Awesome. So they may not know about you. They may not personally know you, but they know of you, or they know about your original contribution.
That's exactly right. And the letters do need to be structured a certain way. So sometimes people think they should just be, your run of the mill letter of recommendation. XYZ is great. I love them, hire them, approve them. But there's so much more to these letters than just that. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
And so should we be getting letters from people in the professional and like in the field? So work related letters. What about academia? How should I, again, pick and choose who I'm going to be doing? And how do you help clients, Nadia, pick and choose who to get letters from?
Yeah, so we actually want a list of everybody the client, first of all, thinks might be a good letter writer. And then we go through and we vet that list carefully because we do want a variety. So academia, yes, that might work. Perhaps you were a PhD student and you worked with a very, very well-known professor. Under their mentorship, you put out this amazing research. That person would be a great letter writer. If you're an entrepreneur, it could be the founder of a VC firm that invested in you. It could be you worked at some very well-known company in a senior level position. It could be the MD. It could be the CEO. So it's a variety of people. We go through and vet each person carefully.
Awesome. And somebody has asked a question in the Q&A that I think is a perfect time to answer this question. Somebody wrote, who drafts these letters, Alcorn or me, or the person who writes, so the author of the letter? Can you share a little bit more about how we handle our letter of recommendation process at our firm?
Yeah, and this is something we really pride ourselves in at our firm, is how we handle the letters of recommendation. We have created very detailed templates, which we share with the client. The templates are structured in a way which makes it really foolproof for anyone to complete the template. It's sectioned out. It has questions in each section that we ask the client to answer. And then we have an expert writing specialist on the Alcorn team who goes through each letter and asks the client follow-up questions, adds to the letter, makes the letter sound even better and more to the point, including language that USCIS wants to see. And then we send it back to the client. So it's a back and forth process. In many, many cases, the person signing the letter only sees the final draft, reviews it, agrees, and signs it, because we don't want you to lose time asking your letter writer to have to do too much work if they don't need to.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So it's truly an iterative process. I think, and I would say that the letter of recommendations is the most time intensive portion of this application. Obviously, in addition to everything else that you as the client do need to provide us, this is what our clients have to sit with the most and really, really focus on and work on. And letters of recommendations. And so we send the templates, right? And then we ask you, take that first stab, do that first draft, because frankly, you as the individual who is the individual of extraordinary ability, you know yourself best. You know your accomplishments best. You know the author best as well on what that author knows and admires and recognizes about you. So we ask you, take your first stab, and we'll completely transform it into how we know the immigration officers expect to see these letters. The letters, the hardest part of it, I would say for our clients, obviously, other than writing it, is to have to boast about yourself. Nadia, can you share with us a little bit more about, that kind of awkward, cringy moment of like having to talk about yourself and your accomplishments?
Yeah, you have to make it an out-of-body experience. You have to talk about, so the template actually is asking you to complete the letter as if you are the letter writer. So you have to sort of get into the mindset of, first of all, this is not the moment to be humble. This is the time in your life to not be humble. And second of all, you have to think about it from the person writing the letter, what they would say about you, and combine that with you just sort of bragging about all of your life's professional accomplishments.
Yes.
And throwing it all in there. I always say this to clients, let us do the job of editing and removing things that we don't think are important. Perhaps your award that you won in your first year of your bachelor's degree program won't help your petition, but we'll do the job of editing that part out and including the things that are important. But we need to know everything.
Yeah. So give us everything but the kitchen sink, and we will help you decide. I think that's what people lose sight of the most when working on these types of applications, that I don't know if I should include this. I don't know if this counts. Let us decide. And Nadia and our team of experts, we're the true professionals and the experts in this. So let us work our expertise on your expertise and what makes you extraordinary. And we know what USCIS is looking for. Let us help you highlight it. Let us help you focus and showcase that. So like Nadia said, now is not the time to be humble. All right. So some bonus stuff. Tell us some more, Nadia.
Yes. So these are other areas, other categories that we can use to prove that you're extraordinary depending on your field. So money, if you've earned a high salary, higher than what's average in your field. And people will be like, well, how do you know what's average in your field? Well, we do know because we look at the Department of Labor salary survey for your occupation code, and we compare your salary to that. And if it's higher, significantly higher than average, that can be a category that we use. Advisory opinions. For certain professional fields, there are peer groups. It's mostly applies to artistic fields, but it could apply to scientific or other fields as well. And we will ask that peer group to write in, to review the petition, and then to issue a letter that says that they agree that you're extraordinary, that they have no objection to USCIS deeming you extraordinary. In terms of exhibitions and showcases, this applies to artists. I've done a number of fine artists and photographers and others in the field. And if they have exhibited widely at various galleries around the world, or even locally, but very well attended galleries, this could work for you. And then finally, if you have performed and you have commercial success, we prove that by how many tickets were sold, what was the venue, how many people came to see your performance, and that would also help. And then along with that is then, were there critics who reviewed your performance or your work, and so on. So those are the other categories.
Awesome. So now, I guess one project that our team worked on, and Sophie specifically spent a lot of time working on, is our firm's Extraordinary Ability Bootcamp. Now, the Extraordinary Ability Bootcamp, it is a resource. It's a boot camp that will help you work towards a really great, a really strong extraordinary ability application. Oftentimes when for example, I'm consulting with a potential new client and they tell me, I'm currently on an H-1B visa, I'm currently on an F-1 visa, I have several more years available on it, but I don't want to be on this type of visa anymore. I want to be able to be on a green card pathway. I want to be able to eventually maybe even sponsor myself to get a green card for myself and not have to rely on an employer to petition or sponsor me. What can I do to help me grow, to help me showcase that? And I say, you know what? I think our Extraordinary Ability Bootcamp will really help you, because it'll help you learn about all of the criterias that Nadia just mentioned. It gives you good examples, it gives you bad examples, and it just will help you learn more about the extraordinary ability case types and what you can do to mold and grow your personal accomplishments, your CV, so that you can eventually apply for this type of visa category or green card category.
Exactly.
Anything you want to add there, Nadia?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, oftentimes in our short 30-minute consultations, people want to know, well, how can I make this happen within the next few months or next year? And my best answer is always, the boot camp will really help, because in 30 minutes, I can certainly give you an overview, evaluate your resume, but what I can't do is provide all the hours of specific information that the boot camp provides.
Right. So let's go into a little bit more about just a deep dive into what our EA Bootcamp is. That is basically, it's a deep dive into the requirements for an O1A, an EB-1A, an EB-2 National Interest Waiver. It's a 15 module course that breaks down, again, all of those criteria. It gives you examples of what is good, what is bad, what is stronger, more stronger than others, and just it gives you a lot of resources. And it will really support you, again, to kind of slowly put yourself into that category. Now, Nadia, I don't think we discussed this earlier, but and I don't know if we're going to discuss it later on. I don't think we are. Can you briefly explain to us the difference of the 3 different EA categories?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can think of these in 2 different pathways. One is non-immigrant. So the O1A is temporary, non-immigrant. It's for you to come and work and live in the United States for 3 years under the O1A visa, which is sponsored by an employer or your company. It could be your company, but there's specifics around how that would work. But it needs to be sponsored by an employer, and it's for an initial period of 3 years, and then it can be extended. Again, it's non-immigrant intent, but extraordinary ability. The EB-1A is the green card extraordinary ability, the big sister of the O1A, the permanent resident of the non-immigrant O1A. So the EB-1A allows you to sponsor yourself, which the O1A does not. And it is the pathway to get a green card and to live permanently in the United States and work. The EB-2 national interest waiver also allows you to sponsor yourself and is also a green card pathway. It has an exceptional ability component to it, but it also has a national interest component to it. So that means in addition to being exceptional and amazing, your work and your future project is also going to benefit the United States' national interest.
Awesome. So what I always tell people about the O1A and the EB-1A specifically is that the O1A is like the kid brother of the EB-1A. So they have very similar criteria. So they have the ones that we just recently, Nadia went through. They're very, very similar in criteria. So oftentimes what people will do is start off with an O1A, and then from there, work on their accomplishments some more so that they can move on to the green card pathway of the EB-1A. The EB-1A does have higher scrutiny with USCIS than the O1A does. So that's why we say start off with an O1A, add more to your resume, add more to your accomplishments. And then from there, we can move on to an EB-1A for you.
Right.
Perfect. So right here at the bottom, we also say we have a special promo that we'll be giving away at the end, and we hope to see you on our extraordinary ability bootcamp. So again, what the extraordinary ability bootcamp will do is it will give us good examples and bad examples, good evidence and bad evidence of what USCIS likes to see. The way that we get that bad evidence is straight from the, what is the saying? Straight from the horse's mouth itself. When we get an RFE response which RFE responses are given out like Halloween candy with these types of visa applications. Obviously, we share a common goal with our clients that we want to file your case. We want to get an approval right off of the bat in like 3 days, 2 days, maybe even in 1 day. That's not realistic. And we don't set those types of expectations with our clients. So we look at the glass half full, and we're grateful for the requests for evidence that we do get, because it's a learning method. We learn from it. We learn from it. Our clients learn from it. And it helps us kind of figure out, all right, we can't use this type of evidence anymore because USCIS isn't accepting it anymore. And that's kind of anymore is kind of key, because maybe something that USCIS used to frequently accept as evidence years ago is not, that it's not the same anymore. Policies change, things change day to day with immigration. So that's why our fees, as much as we don't like them, they are good. Again, looking at the glass half full, because we get to learn from it, and it gives us an opportunity to still show the government, no, hey, even though you're saying that this is not a good form of evidence, let me show you how it is a good form of evidence, how I do qualify for this criteria. Here's some more that I can provide to you. And they'll tell you, hey, we actually don't really think that you qualify for this specific criteria. If you think you do, this is what you need to show us. So that's how we get our good evidence from the bad ones that we kind of tried to sneak in at first. So yeah, our Extraordinary Ability Bootcamp will really detail and lay out what we've learned from in the past. And that's kind of the point of a bootcamp, right? The bootcamp, it's not going to help you draft your EB-1A application. This is not a DIY kind of thing. That is the last thing that you want to do for these types of applications. It's a tool. It's a mechanism for you to learn again and grow your CV and figure out, okay, this is where I am and this is where I want to be. And this is like, it's a vessel to get you there. So that's my 2 cents there. Nadia,
Yes.
give us some examples about some clients that we've worked with in the past who are entrepreneurs who we have helped get an EA application approved.
Yeah. So I love these examples because they just make it more concrete for people. So the one example that I have is a very recent O&A that we got approved for an entrepreneur who is relatively young, did obviously have enough to get the O&A approved, but we had a monster RFE on the case, which we sort of anticipated a bit, and we handled it and it was approved. And the person is now in the US happily chugging away at their startup. So the things that made this case difficult were the past critical roles. This person is amazing and is doing extraordinary things, but they're doing it with their current startup, and their past positions were great, but they weren't like he was the CEO of 5 companies before the current position. So we really had to drill that point across about what their current critical, amazing contributions to the field are. Another pushback category we've been seeing a lot is memberships in accelerators, government accelerator programs where USCIS was like, wait, this is not a membership, this is not an award. And we had to sort of be like, no, actually it is. It's a national level government funded accelerator program for entrepreneurs, and they choose very few. And the way that we did this is we just got straight into the statistics. How many people applied for this? How many were selected? How much money did this person get? So we really worked our way through all of those categories that USCIS was pushing us back on, and we were successful.
Awesome. That was a huge one.
Yeah.
I think our entire team celebrated that one. And we celebrate all of our cases along with our clients, but this one specifically, we're like, booyah, in your face, USCIS. We knew this one was a good one for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about product managers? Tell us a little bit more here.
This is one of my favorite examples because this is also a very recent win, and we filed an EB-1A and an EB-2 national interest waiver concurrently, so both at the same time. For this person, his field was software engineer, product engineer, so not exactly product manager, but product engineer, but he was an entrepreneur. And again, we got an RFE where USCIS was like, you have to choose one field, but this person was an entrepreneur. He worked as head of engineering. He worked as a product developer. So, and he did amazing things within all of those separate but related categories. The USCIS just kept saying, this is not one field of endeavor. Choose one field of endeavor and show us how he's extraordinary in one field. And so we had to show them that somebody could be a product manager or software engineer, but their normal career trajectory could lead them to be a CTO of a company or a CEO of a company. And that is a natural progression of one's career in that industry. And then we had to also show them how his specific memberships and his speaking engagements were all within his specific field of software engineering and product development. And so the main issue with that case was we had to connect all those dots for the USCIS officer. Mm-hmm. The USCIS officer did not want to connect the dots. They were like, yeah, I just want you to like really lay this out for me. So we did, and both EB-1A and EB-2 NIW were approved.
Is it common, Nadia, for people to file both an EB-1A and an EB-2 NIW? Why would someone do that?
Because of the timeline, because the EB-1A is so much faster, but it's so much harder. It's so much harder. It is so much harder. I can say that pretty safely and accurately than the EB-2 NIW. So if they get the EB-1A, it's fabulous for them. The timeline is faster, but if they don't, they want the EB-2 NIW to have already been pending in the background, and they can rely on that instead.
What timeline are you talking about, Nadia?
So the EB-1A can be filed by a premium processing service. And for Indian and Chinese nationals, there's no backlog in terms of visa bulletin and filing the green card petition. So it is way more advantageous in those respects, specifically for citizens of those countries. Whereas the EB-2 national interest waiver, no premium processing. So you're going to wait at least, I don't know, you could wait up to 8-9 months for a decision to come down. And if you're an Indian or Chinese national with the visa bulletin, you could be waiting years before you can even adjust status. So those are reasons why.
Right. So it's a double line that you're waiting in, first for a decision and then second potentially on the visa bulletin. Interesting. Right. And then so the EB-1A and the national interest waiver, they're green card pathways, right?
Yes.
Is it common to file the adjustment of status together with the initial petitions? How do you make that decision?
So it really depends on what status is the person currently in and how much time do they have left. So if somebody was on, I don't know, F1 OPT or STEM OPT and their time is running out, they need to stay employment authorized, then they will file the AOS concurrently if they can, and they will utilize their EAD card to continue working beyond the expiration of their current status. But if somebody has years and years left on an H or an O, then they might not want to file the AOS. They just want to wait to see what happens first with the EB-2 or EB-1A.
Awesome. And the benefit of that is that so you don't have to waste your time and your money in an adjustment of status application that if the petition gets denied, would be denied together with that.
Exactly.
Awesome. So we have 15 minutes left. Let me leave you all with a quick inspirational quote. We'll go to your Q&A and then we will call it quits. So inspirational quote: do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command, and better tools will be found as you go along. This is from George Herbert, and better tools will be found as you go along by our incredible team of experts as you go through that extraordinary ability bootcamp. So if you don't have millions to invest to get a green card, or if you're not in love with the US citizen, this course is for you. Help us help you figure out what you can do to make yourself an individual of extraordinary ability in USCIS's eyes. You're already an individual of extraordinary ability in all of our eyes, and I bet you in your mom's eyes. But let's figure out how we can get that in USCIS's eyes as well. So that's our content today. I'm going to switch on over to our Q&A. With our Q&A, I do want to remind you all that this is a completely non-confidential venue right now. So I will be skipping any questions that are very case specific. If you do have any case specific questions, do you have anything that you want to discuss one-on-one with one of our team members, reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to us to schedule a consultation. We'd be happy to chat with you and see what we can do to support you in your immigration journey. Follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We have a cool podcast that Nadia and I are frequently on as well, so take a listen on that. And enroll in our EA Bootcamp. Help us help you figure out what you can do to be an individual of extraordinary ability in USCIS's eyes. If you sign up within the next little bit over a month using that promo code, you get a full 30% off. That is huge. So go ahead and use that. Our email, our phone number, our website is down at the bottom as well. So again, help us help you. Now let's switch on over to our Q&A. I'm just going to ask them to Nadia because I want to. Nadia, yes. One of our viewers is asking, in your experience for an EB-2 NIW application, what is the current average processing time and how long does it take for the filing date until getting the green card? So you slightly alluded to that, but can you tell us a little bit more about that timeline for the EB-2 NIW specifically?
Yeah, so and I'm assuming we're just talking about the government timeline for this question. Once we file the case, It could take the government. I mean, we've seen, and I don't like to share this information too much because people get their hopes up, but we've seen EB-2 NIWs get adjudicated in as short as 4 months, about 4 months. But the average I see is closer to 6 months. And if there's an RFE, just keep in mind that that adds a significant amount of time because you have to respond to the RFE, then the government will start reviewing the RFE response. So it could be a question mark, but I would say 5-6 months to get the initial adjudication or an RFE.
Right. And then from filing until getting the green card, like Nadia mentioned, all kind of really depends on the visa bulletin. If you're from China or
Right.
India, it's going to take years under the EB-2 NIW because of the visa bulletin backlog. If you're from any other
Right.
country, maybe not.
Maybe
So
not.
the annoying attorney answer that people will often get is, it depends. I'm sorry.
It depends. It depends.
It depends. All right, next question. This is a good one. Are there certain occupations that are easy to file an NIW for? Do non-traditional STEM fields such as architecture, are they successful with NIWs?
So again, it depends. What we have to do is, regardless of the field, there's certain people whose field is so easy to make the connection, right? You work in creating sustainable energy, or you're working in creating some sort of educational programming, or you're working in a medical field where you're creating some sort of vaccine or drug, or you get the point. If you're working in a field where it's very clear how your work is going to benefit the US, of course, that's a good field. But for other fields, if you're going to start a business and you're going to hire people in the United States and you are going to, in turn, impact the economy because you're hiring people and your business is growing, then yes, we can make a case for you that your work is in the US's national interest. But obviously we can't just make these declarations without backing them up. So do you have a pitch deck? Do you have a business plan? Is your company already incorporated? Do you have VCs or other funders that are investing in you? These are the things we'll look at. So there needs to be something more than just, oh, I'm just going to do architecture. Maybe you're going to create green buildings. You know what I mean? So we have to really look at the specifics of the case.
Of course. Yeah, that's the next question that I'm going to get to are some of the questions that our awesome viewers have asked. It all really depends. It's difficult for us to answer some of these questions because they're so specific. And these categories, it's viewed in the grand scheme of things as well. So it's not just one individual application, it's or one individual accomplishment. It's how all of the other accomplishments come along with it as well. So the next question that I see is, how about being on an H-1B and being on the board of a nonprofit in addition to their job, and showed strides that one has made with the nonprofit? So again,
it depends on the field.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is the nonprofit within your field of endeavor? And then in addition to the strides with the nonprofit, do you meet 3 of the other criteria that we mentioned?
Yeah.
So exactly. you can always go through your resume, figure out what is my field, and then look at the criteria and try to see like which buckets do your accomplishments fit into. And then that's a starting point. And then of course an attorney will do hopefully do a good job of figuring out whether or not it's actually going to work.
Awesome. Cool. Next question. Are these letters anonymous? They are not. The letters of recommendation is the question. They are not. We don't want these letters to be anonymous. We want to be able to showcase that the individual who's authoring these letters are high up in their field as well. We will ask them for a copy of their CV. If they don't give us the copy of their CV, we're going to pull up their CV on LinkedIn because we want to be able to really show off who that person is so that they're qualified alone to be able to brag about you as well.
Yeah, they're the opposite of anonymous.
Exactly. We got a lot of information about them too.
Yeah.
Next question. This one's a tough one. Do you have clients where you have determined that they're not qualified to file an extraordinary ability application? Sometimes we have. And we have to make that tough call. As an immigration attorney, I feel like 50% of the time I'm giving bad news, 25% of the time I'm giving bad news. or news
Yeah.
that people don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And other
Yeah.
times you don't. So again, we share a common goal, a common interest with our clients, and that's approval. If we if we start your case and we see, oh man, we actually don't have enough here, we will be
Yeah.
honest with you and we will let you know, hey, we've spent some time here. I know you've started working on those letters of recommendation. Let's put your case on hold. And here
Right.
we'll say, go to our EA bootcamp, learn some more, add more to your accomplishments, add more to your resume, and we'll pick up where we left off in like 6 months, in a year, when you've published more, when more has been published
Right.
about you, so that we can really file a strong approvable application with USCIS.
Yes.
How can I find a company that supports visa sponsorship? You just got to apply. You got to ask them if they'll sponsor you to get a green card. I don't have that answer for you, my friend. I'm so sorry. That's a hard question for us to answer and to guide you with. Let's see, we have 5 more minutes left. If I am a stakeholder in a small startup, do I qualify for this visa? And how big should the startup be for this? Nadia, you want to take that one again?
Yeah, so again, similar. You could be a stakeholder in a startup, but what else? How do you fit the evidentiary criteria that we mentioned? Have you made original contributions to your field? Do you have awards? Do you have membership? What were your past roles? So we have to look at your totality of your CV to determine whether or not, it's hard to say with just one piece of data whether or not you'd qualify.
Right. How long does it take to receive a consultation? Well, hopefully it should not take long at all to get a consultation. Reach out to us, shoot us an email, and we'll hopefully be able to get back to you within that day or within a day to kick off scheduling a consultation. So we look forward to hearing from you soon. I'm going to skip some questions because they're very, very similar to what Nadia just discussed. Having one piece of evidence is not going to be able to help us make a decision on whether or not you qualify. If you have questions about your case specifically or whether or not you could qualify, please reach out to us. You have our email. It's hello@alcorn.law, so that we can help you see if you could qualify.
That's right.
All right. Scrolling down. Ooh, this is a good question. Can people who are on DACA benefit from an extraordinary ability application?
This becomes tricky when they're adjusting status. And you might know this better than me, but technically they can. They might be able to get the EB-1A or the EB-2 NIW approved, but then when they're adjusting status, we have to figure out how to prove their lawful presence. Right. So it becomes complicated.
Yeah, that one is a little bit more complicated. Again, it depends on the facts of your case. And these applications, and just all applications with USCIS, there's a difference between that initial foundational petition, that I-140, and then the green card application as well. If I understand maybe a bit of the question, does DACA help you get does it make you more qualified for an EB-1A application? It doesn't.
No.
It gives you the ability to just to have deferred action and stay in the United States, but it's not going to help you toward any one of those criteria.
Yeah, it won't.
Does there need to be an employer-employer relationship for an O-1A visa? I am the co-founder and CEO of a venture-backed startup. I own 60% of the company, and I don't want to give anyone firing power over me. This is case specific, but it is detailed enough, I think, that Nadia, maybe you can go through.
Yeah, I like this question because it's important for the O1. Yes, you need an employer-employee relationship. And yes, that means you need to show that somebody has the ability to hire or fire you. So if you don't want someone to be able to remove you from your position, then it may not work. And the way that we recommend that you prove the employer-employee relationship is there somebody who does your performance reviews? Are there corporate bylaws that gives a board member the ability to remove you from your position? So the ability to hire and fire is very much tied into the employer-employee relationship. The 60% ownership might not be as big of a problem with the O1 if you can prove that somebody can remove you from your position.
Yes, perfect. Next question. This is also a good one. Can you do an EB-1A and an O1A concurrently?
Yes, you can, but
Do
you
you
need,
want to?
yeah, I don't know why you would want to do that, but I guess, yeah, I don't know why you would want to do those two concurrently. I mean, most people will do the O1A first, and then they'll try to acquire more evidence and then go for the EB-1A.
So the EB-1A and the EB-2 national interest waiver, that one is often done frequently because they both have different benefits, one over the other. Whereas the O1A, again, I call the kid brother of the EB-1A application, or it's a stepping stone. You start off with an O1A, you add more to your resume, and then from there you can petition for or file the EB-1A application from there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Some more questions. I'm going to find one last question with our last minute. What's the difference between the EB-1A and the EB-2 national interest waiver? Quick, in 1 minute, Nadia.
EB-1A, extraordinary ability. It's all about you. What do you have to prove you're extraordinary in your field? EB-2 national interest waiver, that can be exceptional ability, which is a little bit easier to prove than an extraordinary ability. It can also be if you have an advanced degree plus work experience. And then the national interest component. How will your work benefit the United States' national interest, which is not a component of the EB-1A?
Awesome. That was really good, Nadia. Thank you. Thank you all so much. We are out of time today. We would love to answer more of your questions. Feel free to reach out to us to schedule a consultation with us if you have more questions that you want to speak one-on-one with one of the attorneys at our company. Our information is down there. Join us on our EA Bootcamp and consider us a resource. Let us know what we can help you in realizing your American dream. Thank you all so much and have a lovely rest of your day.